and Jenny Slate.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, jinx.
Oh, so this is the first time that I think they're doing this kind of a thing, this one-on-one with two ladies, two people. Really.
Two people, that's right.
If that's right.
Yeah.
I was excited because I absolutely adore Jenny.
Same here, same exact reason, same feelings about Quinta.
Yes.
True.
We used to run into each other during the award cycle 2 years ago, was it now?
Yes.
While
yes.
Jenny was winning all the awards from herself.
You were winning. You were winning them all. You were really winning them all.
Yes, and you also were. To me. Maybe other people won, but whenever they announced it, I just heard Jenny.
I feel like that's really nice. I feel like we both did great.
We did. We did.
And we would chat and congratulate each other.
And have a really great time.
Yes, it's true.
That she's the person I find at the end of a night, and we kind of go into a corner.
That's right.
And comfort each other.
Yes, and be normal.
And be normal.
Human beings together.
The award seasons are
in a sea of extraordinary experiences and sparkly people.
Yes. And you guys are so somber, but I realized because you just
right.
somber, it really did take me a minute.
Yeah, we walked in and I was like, oh.
The energy.
It was, it was the final episode.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
It was. I'm just gonna crack the egg, break the shell. Yeah. Wasn't she fantastic?
Thank you for saying so.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously feel the same. I was saying to Quinta before we got up here that watching Abbott Elementary is it makes me feel so good because the comedy is always just so fresh and so really, really good jokes. But the friendliness and the sweetness just makes me feel like what you want comedy to do, which is not just make you laugh, but sort of just stop the weird low hum of loneliness that can sometimes be there. I mean, not to be a bummer, but good comedy really makes you feel like there are friends around, and and especially, and I think that you all watched the first episode of season 4 of Abbott tonight.
Yes,
did
you did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
Oh, Love is in the Air.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. It's so cute.
That's one of my favorites because I only get to write one episode a year of Abbott, and it's always the first one, and I got to write that one, so that makes me very happy.
Ooh. Well, you nailed it.
Yes. That one was exciting, and it's funny because you've been a part of so many comedies that have made me feel the way that Abbott makes you feel. And I think in Dying for Sex, you do something incredible that I love to see, which is that you prove that comedic actresses are the best of the best. And we can do drama.
True.
We can. We love comedy. We are comedy. We do comedy. And another great thing about this show is which everyone doesn't always get the opportunity to do, but you don't have to sacrifice your comedic self to do this show. What was it like balancing? You have some really heavy scenes in this, and then you have some of the funniest moments I've ever seen in which is crazy, in your entire career, in my opinion. I just wonder what it's like to balance that. Does it feel natural? Is it a new challenge? You've done it before in different movies we've seen, but this is a series, and it takes a different level of honing in. So go ahead,
Yeah, no, it does, and also there's the extra, the addition of that Nikki is a real person. Yeah. She's my friend who I know, and she's the person who really lost her best friend Molly, and their relationship was that. So there is that added, I think, responsibility of wanting to, whatever that means, wanting to do right by them or do it right. But I wonder if you agree with this, but that like one of the reasons why I do comedy is it's just always been my first reaction in terms of how to connect to other people, and then my own perception of how sensitive or extreme I can feel. And you know, the character of Nikki in our show, she yells at people, she really is explosive. I'm not like that, but I think comedy comes easily, but that's because I'm trying to find a way to like synthesize or refine my intensity. And it's just like, it's the first thing. But when I think of comedians that I came up admiring, like Carol Burnett, like she's an incredible dramatic actress. And actually even in Annie, like she's scary as Miss Hannigan. She's desperate and sad, she's horny, she's so on the outs, you know, she's so extreme. And I think that it's almost like I finally got to my to feel my own equilibrium by being able to be as another person, but as sorrowful, express sorrow, express fear, loss, concern, being out of control, anger. Sometimes it's felt that unless I don't know, like I think I used to feel this way, like we're more normal, then it would be more accepted for me to express those things.
Totally.
But like, I'm a funny girl, and I have to be funny, and like nobody wants to see the other stuff because like you're already lucky you're even here or something. And finally for me it just felt like, no, that's actually not how I feel about myself, and it's certainly not what I'm able to do. So it was more like just finally being able to go.
I relate to that.
Yeah.
Really heavily.
Can you say more? Because I would love to know. And especially just to say, like in this episode, Janine's, one thing that you say is like, I've had things not work out, and I just really want this to work out.
Yeah.
And that moment, I've watched the episode a couple of times, but like the first time I watched it, I was like, because I felt that way when I met my second husband.
Are we getting?
I'm still married to.
Second. Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah. The first one we got divorced. Second one.
Divorced.
Yeah, we did it.
No, I think that when you are
this high five, weird claw.
I think that it is. I think when you are a funny girl, something gets put on you.
Yeah.
As if you can't be anything but funny. But you're funny because, hey man, that's like I enjoy that method of connecting with people. You don't even want to know how dramatic I can get. You don't want to know how dark it can get real fast. And I think it's interesting because our industry is about boxes eventually, and so you kind of want to fit into one
and hang on. You want to keep your work.
So it's my dream to get the opportunity to do something like what you're doing. But my boxes come pretty intense, You don't know how many teacher roles I get offered. And I'm like, I don't want to keep playing a teacher, you know what I mean? Or an all-knowing kind therapist, and or just like these different, but it's okay because, like I said, stuff like this inspires me. And you mentioned Carol Burnett. For me, I know it's small, and I don't think I realized it until recently, watching Whoopi Goldberg be, really funny yet stern with these kids in Sister Act.
Oh yeah.
Like Sister Act 2 in particular. It was because it was like a different layer. She was caring about students, and she got like hard and harsh, and I thought that was like really incredible. I really feel excited by watching people do both, both funny and dramatic in the same piece of work, which is what I like about this. And I think it shouldn't go unnoticed how wonderful what the display of work. You did a display of range in this. Because you're funny sometimes, I worry that people might be like, oh, Jenny's, she's so funny.
Yeah.
No, like, she's acting down, and she's also funny. And I think that gets taken away from the funny girl sometimes.
It does. It's weird. I'm
Yeah.
glad. And I've been thinking about it a lot because it's like, there shouldn't, I think at this point, especially like you and I, like have been both, I think like working at what we do a long time, and there's a pride in like building that body of work, and we were discussing before, like choosing when to spend your time being creative. And the more you know yourself, the more you know how precious it is that your specific voice or the way that you can express yourself, like how wonderful that is that, you know, we grew it ourselves. And so it does sometimes make me want to be like, I shouldn't have to, you know, prove like I can do this or that, but there actually is a part of me that I think it's important to acknowledge, like, you know, in order to be a working actor, you do what you are offered for a while. And then also there can be a blend of like, I love comedy, I love doing it, but I think it's a sign of maturity to want to extend oneself, you know, and like, but this job really came out of the blue for me, and I felt like I was waiting for something, but I didn't know when it would come.
What's also interesting is one of the co-producers or possibly co-creators, Elizabeth Merriweather, also comes from, I mean, I knew her as creating the show New Girl.
Yeah.
And you have someone who is now, I also find her inspiring, bounced around from a huge network sitcom to, it wasn't The Drop.
The Dropout.
It was The Dropout.
Yeah, totally.
To The Dropout, to this.
Yes.
Oh man, her range is incredible. She shows it more and more every day. And I'm happy that you guys aren't boxing yourself in and out. She's provided this piece of work for you, saw you, knows your range, and knows what you're capable of. You talked about something earlier, which I haven't had the experience of playing a real person, let alone a real person in such that's the world-ending situation.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of conversations with her? I know you said you guys have a relationship now. Did you kind of like want to create your own take as an actress, or did you feel it was important for her to have her input every step of the way? This is such personal work.
Yeah, I can't imagine like what it would be like to give my story to someone else, I guess. Like it was just so much trust, and Nikki, she was pretty clear that she was like, you're not being me, you know, you're being like the sort of hybrid created thing that is in the script, but she really, I think my weird first priority was to make sure that I just like wanted her to feel welcome on set.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want her to feel in any way like mined for her life, and I don't think that there was the potential for that to happen. But it's just kind of like it's like you're staying at someone's house, like you make your bed and like you're respectful in someone else's area, and I think that was like my main priority. But Nikki kept asking me like, "Are you okay?" And it was like kind of a infinity loop of that. I don't know. I do you feel like, I mean, you're from Philly, you're writing about like really actually serious things in your show. Like this season is about like, I mean, it's also really funny the way that the school gets the computers. I don't want to like ruin.
No, it's okay.
It's
straight up gentrification.
Yeah, like can you talk about what it's like to write to that? And maybe you already discussed this. You and I were also just talking about how like neither one of us is really looking on the internet, so we have no idea if we've answered these questions before.
We don't.
So this is just my right now in the moment curiosity, like what is it, because it's one thing to make like, let's say, heartbreak or fear funny, which you do, that like your character is really afraid to, but it's another thing to try to find humor in situations that are like unfair and painful.
Yeah, I approach Abbott as both an actor and a writer, from this place that people who are in very bad situations, rough situations, rough societal situations, and you know, I watch people where I'm from still laugh. I watch them find joy. I watch something very silly still be very funny. And I remember when I was a kid, my parents did okay for themselves. I don't think I realized that we lived in like a low income neighborhood until I was about 18. And because they never made it feel that way for me. Our house was full of like love and humor and light, and things that happened around where I lived were kind of just funny scenarios. Perhaps it's a trauma response, I don't know. But sometimes trauma responses are very funny. There was this next door neighbor named Miss Sherry, who also, she always said things twice. Like, she always said something twice. I remember thinking it was the funniest thing. Like, Miss Sherry is
Like,
so
what she
hilarious.
said, can I know?
Like, she'd be like, good morning, Quinta, good morning, Quinta. I love Miss Sherry. And she'd be like, oh, it's hot today, And I'm like, that's just funny to me.
Yes, it's also funny to me and everyone.
Now, when I was 18, I learned Miss Sherry had been affected
Okay.
by, I know,
Uh-oh.
but I learned she had been affected by an epidemic that hit Philadelphia in the 80s. Crack.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for me as a kid, I was just like, dude, Miss Sherry's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
But Miss Sherry was living, right? I think that's when I honed in on people are not the bad circumstances that have happened to them. People are more resilient. It makes me tear up because I think that when I watch your show, it's definitely a different approach to it. This character, Michelle Williams' character, Molly has had bad things happen to her. But I feel like the message is I am not the bad things that happened to me. I want to live, I want to feel. Of course, you are affected by those bad things, right? They make up part of who you are, but you do not have to have your soul be crushed by we see all types of examples of this. We're seeing it right now. I mean, right now, we're living in a wild-ass time, you know? And did something funny not happen to you guys today? If someone farted right now, wouldn't that be so hilarious?
I'd love it. Does anyone want to?
Does anyone want to fart?
I would, if somebody did, I would be so happy.
It's so
It would be
funny.
the best,
It's
yeah.
always funny.
Yeah,
And
it is.
that means a lot to me.
Me too.
You know?
For real,
And-
yes, I do.
And you know, and I think that's just part of human survival.
Yeah.
And I think that that's how I approach Abbott. I approach it as these are people surviving. Their joy has not been stripped. Are there injustices? Yes, we make it quite clear in the show. But their joy is not stripped, and neither should the audience's joy be stripped. I really, really appreciate that about this show. There are times where I'm laughing in this show, and I don't feel guilty for laughing either, which is hard to accomplish.
Yeah, I feel that way about your show too.
Yeah.
And part of it is, I think for me, when I'm watching your show, there's this like relief that things that are clearly difficult aren't like terminal events. And that's obviously like the same in our show, but
Yeah.
like this sense that when something terrible or unfair or frightening or violent happens, that is actually the end of newness for like that person or a group of people or whatever, that like they're gonna have to now be in stasis because what has occurred is like too hard or sad, which is a little bit what like Molly lives in for a lot of her life before I think the show begins. But like I think there's something, and you're right, like our shows are very, very different.
Yeah.
But the urge to be like, I'm gonna take the thing that is uncomfortable, and not allow it to become like a fossil.
Yes.
I'm gonna like
Yeah.
just allow for more. That's like the biggest threat is like you can't change, you can't have something different happen to you.
Mhm.
You can't ask for something else in your story because the bad thing is so big that it defines everything. And I do think that's what like comedy really breaks down. That's like what a laugh breaks down.
It does.
Yeah.
It's the most universal thing in the world. We could all cry together, very universal, but I think laughing together is just a different emotion. It's just different. I love the feeling of a room erupting in laughter. I don't know, for that one moment, everyone feels like they're on the same page. There's a moment in the, I'm so sorry, I am losing the episodes, but there's a moment where your character, you have this big bag, and you, and you know, one thing is that's me. I have a big black hole bag, and I'm both embarrassed and really proud of it. I think that bag got me where I am today.
Yeah.
And the computer, man, you don't know how much my friends have made. They truly like, how do you lose an entire iPad? But it's possible.
It is.
I just found that's, anyway. But, you know, I'm scared along with Steve that she can't do this. I am weirdly, totally on his side at that moment, even though I know how the story's supposed to go. And I'm a Jenny Slate fan, and part of me is like, don't fucking talk to her like that. But as someone in the story, I'm like, I might be on Steve's side. This is cancer we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I just love, it goes back to what you were saying about you can't change, you know, and your character steps up to the plate. I know it's real life, but I need to talk about your performance in displaying that. And you don't sacrifice this really important flightiness of the character from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
You don't even it's not even sacrificed in the final episode. She has changed because of the situation, but the person she is when you're playing with that puzzle with that kid, you know, is still there.
Yeah.
And I think that's not something that's easy for every performer to achieve. I just have to keep honing in on how you really perform. You know? I think it's important. I'm always going to vouch for you guys knowing that the comedy girls, they do it.
Yeah, that's
Just saying. Okay.
Can I ask you,
Sure.
like, did you go to comedy from the start? Like, did you want to be a comedic performer? Was it a sort of a formative way of finding strength?
Yeah, I think so. I think I got drawn to it, you know, born in a house where it was really important. And then I got drawn to it as a profession, I think, while I was in college, when I realized that like a place like the Second City existed, where you could go like study comedy.
Yeah.
That was a real switch for me. Because before that, I just looked at it as happenstance, or hey, maybe you're funny and a man sees you in a club. And then,
right. Yeah.
But when I learned you could study it as a craft, that's when it became important to me. And I think that, I realized that was the way I wanted to express myself. But I don't know if you've had this. I did stuff I've done stuff online, but at the time I was doing improv. Like I was doing improv at Second City and Iowa West out here in LA. And then I did stand up because I had a little bit of recognition. And I was doing stand up and I said, this is not my ministry. And I was good at it too. But I knew that was not my way to communicate with people.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me. And I knew that it wasn't, we were talking a little bit about this backstage, it wasn't fulfilling work for me.
Yeah.
And I looked at the passion some of my peers had for it. And I said, I don't have that passion. But I knew I had the passion of sitting down and writing as many shows as possible, whether they worked or not. That made me feel fulfilled. And all the different stories I got to tell. It made me feel childlike, because when I was a kid, I used to just play with all of my dolls and bears, like under the covers, and tell stories.
Yeah.
And that's what I think was exciting, was returning to what made me feel childlike and inspired. And another thing that, was interesting about this show. But yeah.
Did you find, like, in the episode that was shown tonight, like, there's a special thing about, like, writing, like, love or romance and comedy together, like that kind of shyness, like, and can you talk about what it was like to put that into this episode? Because there's also so much vulnerability in it, and it's so silly.
It's so silly.
It's so silly.
I think
in the best way.
In the best way. I mean, that's why we like love rom-coms.
Yeah, it's really romantic. It is really romantic.
It's romantic, and like love and comedy. We know that love can be awkward. We know that liking someone is awkward. Starting a relationship is awkward. We know that even love is. I'm not gonna put your business out there, but we're just having a very funny story with you and your husband backstage. Love is like, when you really love someone, it's like naturally very funny to me. Abbott. No, it's a delight to be able to write romantic comedy, especially for two young Black characters. It's really a privilege, and you don't come across it often, and it's different. It just is for two young Black characters than it is for two young white characters, which is what we're used to seeing. But the dynamics are so interesting. These two are so awkward in a different way. That aids in the humor. One of the reasons that diversity is so fucking tight is because different people give us different types of laughs. And the laughs from Janine and Gregory are not the same laughs from like Jim and Pam or Sam and Diane, So I'm so happy to be able to contribute to what makes us laugh about love and just be part of a legacy that I admire so much. And there were old, like Black sitcoms in the 90s, like Martin, which was one of my favorites. My favorite thing is people like falling in love. I think there were some shows like Blackish where they already were married. My favorite thing is to watch people stumble into love. And it's just great. And Martin and Gina were together at the beginning of Martin, but they stumbled into like marriage or further commitment, and I just love those moments. They're so darling and precious. And they make us as the audience feel like we're falling in love too.
Oh my God, like in your show, and then when you're standing outside and you're like, just don't talk about sex, or don't say sex, and you keep saying don't say sex over and over again, and then it's just so funny. It's like going into a school, like you shouldn't say it.
You shouldn't say that.
And it's just like the comedy's so perfect, and you really, the characters as a couple have that like really like synergy, and it's really like propulsive moment. But then like you're just like, I was watching it with such a huge smile, like it.
So happy.
It really is like. The energy is really installed in there. It just like feels,
That's what I want for people. I want them to be able to smile, and it helps that the room is dedicated to it, and Tyler, my co-star, is dedicated to it. Before we even started, he was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want the world to see. And that makes a difference. That leads me to something to ask you. How did you, this work is tough work. Were you called? Did you audition? Was it scary at all? I don't know. It's so, were you like, I want to be part of this. Like I think about Tyler being like, I want to be part of telling this story. Did this call to you in a certain way? Had something happen in your life? Not to get too personal, but that's it. I got to be part of telling this.
Yeah, I got the script. I heard they were doing chemistry reads. There was like a small group of people that were going to read with Michelle. And as you know, like for most of the year, I live in Massachusetts, or at the time was, I like had a couple days to read the scripts and prepare, and I just was like, this is what I've been waiting for, because it's hard to, I think, find material with like that incredible blend And also that's like age appropriate, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just like, oh, right, these are women,
Yeah.
and they're, you know, like, I think Nikki and Molly were like 41 when this happened, you know, and it was like, oh, I'm not like awkwardly pretending to be 33, not that I can't, but, you know, not that if, you know, like, we can.
I feel the same way when people are like 25, I'm like, how old is it also think?
Yeah, totally, I'm like, what, sure. But I did feel when I read the script, like, almost a little sad about, like, if I didn't get it, just because I was like, this is so good.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting for this. I'm so hungry for this. I'm just like, I feel like I've been waiting and like, waiting to just like someone let me out and like, let me run, you know, and I was willing to wait. And anyway, I took the train from Providence. It was scary. I was really nervous. Michelle Williams is one of my favorite actors. You know, like I met her a couple times, but just in passing. And I was very impressed by Liz also in that, like, you know, New Girl was, when that show came out, I had never seen such like jokes like that. Like, oh my God, it was so cool.
Yeah.
And that she, who's also like we're the same age, was making this like giant career shift and really just making taking these huge creative risks that she was so good at, just so bold and such a good writer. And the same with Kim Rosenstock. And I was just like, oh man, this is like the cohort I want to be in. Like, I want to be in this little class. I want to be here. And but I also remember thinking, like, not to be cheesy, but like, if this is the one time I get to do this really good scene with one of my favorite actors, I guess I'll just enjoy it. So you know, that's how I felt about it.
That is so beautiful.
But I really was like, well, this might be it. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know who else is coming.
But it's kind of nice going into something like, this might be, I don't know, I'm just here and this is nice and I like it. I remember feeling that way, like making Abbott. I'm like,
Like when you first started?
Yeah, or when it was selling, which was a tough time for some, you know, person, and I just was like, this is the best I can do, and I'm so happy I did this. That was such a good feeling. I think it feels like creative euphoria.
Yes.
To say I don't really care. I do care. I care about this moment, and I'm happy I got to do this. There's something so special about that. And then when you do get to do it, and it comes out so triumphant, it's just like, you know, icing on the cake.
Yeah, holding that balance is really hard, though, between being like, this is everything to me, and if it doesn't happen, I'll die, and like being like, oh, whatever, you know, like, like that middle zone that's like, I'm just gonna look at this like one little diamond right here floating in front of my face while it's there, and I'm just gonna like enjoy it, and that is real. And I think there was something about like the process of like earning my place that felt really good, but when I got there I realized like, oh, I was the person that cared the most. Like I can let myself off the hook. I sort of felt like, okay, yeah, I can do this. Like everyone else, that's the weirdest thing. I don't know if you ever feel this way about times that you've auditioned, but like they really want you to be good.
Yeah.
They really want to find someone.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're rooting for you.
Yeah, I kind of came out of it being like, I was the only one that was acting like maybe I shouldn't come in.
Yeah.
Everyone else was really nice to me.
Well, what was cool about, you just said that, you know, Elizabeth's taking these big swings, and that's always cool for me to see. And the whole project is a swing. I think it's not easy to make cancer anything other than sad.
Yeah.
I've been affected by cancer many times in my life, and it's sad. It's just the worst. So to be able to, as a production, as a crew, actors, writers, everyone take a swing and it not be a miss is incredible. You know, it's incredible from the comedic front, from the dramatic front. Michelle Williams, she's not here, clearly, but she did such excellent work. I know, and it's like she's Michelle Williams. She does actually, why did I turn Italian? But she does like excellent work. I don't know. But she's so good in this, and you two together are so good. I didn't like just excellent buddies. You know?
Yeah.
I also learned things from this series that I didn't know about. That I had to keep. I didn't want to be crying, but naturally I was crying at the end of the show. But I also really appreciated learning about what happens.
Yeah, like Paula Pell, who plays Nurse Amy, that speech that she gives.
Oh, I love Paula Pell.
Talk about
I love Paula
a pure, like a comedy legend. SNL writer, like great director, incredible comedic performer.
Legend. One of the realest you'll ever meet.
Oh my God.
I need to say that about her. She
is incredible. And she's just like such a good person.
Yeah.
And for her to just, like, I remember, the scripts were kind of coming in, like they were like, we're still writing episode 8 or whatever. And like we had drafts, but we're waiting for them to be finished. And I remember reading that monologue and being like, they're gonna do this whole thing, like they're gonna do it, and wanting it so badly and being afraid that it was somehow gonna get cut, and being there on the day and like watching Paula have to do that, and there is a lot of information installed in there. I would argue that you do the same on your show. It's like the thing of like hiding for kids, like hiding the nutrient in the mac and like the pasta, or there's some like you can hide spinach or anything. I forget.
Yeah.
I obviously don't do that for my daughter yet. Just normal mac and cheese, never vegetable, but yeah. But on your show there is a lot to face and learn.
Yeah.
Like, is that something that you guys are thinking about episode to episode, or are you just kind of like going through and feeling the balance of things, or the combination of like, silliness and
going through and feeling it? We have the privilege of being fiction, which is what I really look at it like now, and we also have the privilege of being like 22 episodes. Sometimes
that's so many.
It's so many.
Yeah,
it's so many, and you've been a part of like a large series, and there's just a little bit more time and a little bit more room to feel things out, and we're fortunate that there are during the 4th season we knew we were getting fits. It's like, okay, we have time, we can be silly, we don't have to, and I think on the show we don't aim to I know I said this recently, but I do not aim to tackle things. I think that is not how I approach comedy creatively.
Yeah.
It just never has been. But I think inherently with Abbott, we're inherently talking about subjects that are affecting this community, these teachers, or so it's just a natural day-to-day of teachers. I have a lot of friends who are teachers, and they have the funniest kids, the funniest situations, but one of my friends was saying that they're doing this initiative now to get kids to come to school, right? So they're like, if you come to school, we'll give you money for Amazon. And so the attendance is way up. And then they're like, the kids are buying whatever they want on Amazon. So some of the girls are buying like eyelashes and mannequin heads to do hair. And then the boys started buying ski masks.
Oh.
And they're like, whoa, what is going on? But it's just like a style thing now. Like now kids are wearing them for fun.
Oh. I didn't know.
It started out really dangerous, but now it's just a style thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do we gotta keep motivating the kids, so we gotta give them the money for the ski mask so they come to school. It becomes this trifecta of just, not wanting stuff to slow down, but that, it all winds up tying into the incentive to get kids to school is gonna get them to graduate, which will mean more of them will go to college. But in it are these like small little situations that are really funny, that are funny to me. If you see that in an episode, you didn't hear it here first. Sorry.
I was gonna ask, like, how much do you take from
The teacher? Fortunately, a lot of the people in the room are either friends with educators or children of educators, so it just kind of comes up organically. And my friends who talk to me about it, they just talk to me about it. But I actually don't wind up putting a lot, they say, in the show, because they're actually way darker. I can't really put it, like, it's wild out here, guys, for sure. But I'm dedicated to being a safe place. I want people to be able to come to Abbott. You know what, it's funny, I want you to be able to watch 9 for Saks and then come like watch Abbott and be like, whew, I want to be that in the TV landscape. I appreciate something hard-hitting and darker or real as much as the next person, but I've made a creative dedication with Abbott to be a softer space for people. And I think that's just as important as anything else. I feel like people really appreciate it. I've had, people, like I said, this work feels close to me because I've had people in my life in the past 5 years die of cancer, and then they're watching Abbott. They're and that means something to me. So I feel like the dark and the light always go hand in hand.
Yeah, I do. And I think like so much comedy is about is people describing how to deal.
Yeah.
Like just expressing what it is like, the weird things they do in order to deal with like whoever they are or whatever is happening. I think that's definitely been at the center of even like my stand-up special.
Absolutely.
Like, why is my personality like this and this is what I choose to do?
Mm-hmm.
I guess this is it. But like I think I really do feel that way about your show, that it's like it's without compromise. Like the comedy is as strong as comedy can be, but that relief of like just being happy and laughing. I was laughing at your show and I was saying to my husband, like, I'm not sure like how often I laugh anymore.
Ooh.
Like that. Like just because it's just like it's so important.
Isn't it?
Yes. And when I was little, like I know I did.
Yeah.
Like I know you would see a preview for something coming and just get so excited.
It's important.
Or like it would be Saturday and like we wouldn't be allowed to stay up in our house, but if I was like lucky enough to be invited to a sleepover, which was probably never, aka at one of my grandmother's house then.
Yeah.
Being like you're gonna get to watch SNL.
Yes.
And just like hearing the music.
Yeah.
Or that weird silence before the cold open.
Joy. I know that.
You feel like a ghost just came into your TV.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is it? And it's just like Norm Macdonald. Like, it's like, huh? Like, what is it? Like, that feeling of like, oh my God, someone's about to make me laugh so hard.
Absolutely.
And I do like I do like feel so grateful for that. And
it makes me so happy.
It's what you're doing and I just love it.
I love that, and I love to hear that people are laughing, and I love to watch people laugh. It's one of my favorite weird, creepy things. If I come to all your houses and watch you laugh, I would do it.
Yeah, if you guys could tell us where you live, and before you leave, if one person could fart, I think we could wrap it up.
Are we, Josh? Oh, we should? Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you to the DGA and the FYC campaign for allowing me and Jenny to get together. And
thank you, Quinta.
Thank you, Jenny Boo. And thank you guys for listening.
Thank you for watching. Thank you so much.
Thank you.